Space has dropped on a new edition of Soccer Down here. It's a Monday. It's a manic Monday because we got Champions Leagues on 2 continents to talk about. ConcaChampions starts tomorrow with games in 3 different places, but one of them a lot of folks in Atlanta will be paying attention to in Costa Rica. Alajuelense hosting Atlanta United. UEFA Champions League quarterfinals tomorrow as well. It will be Champions League all day, every day, at least for Tuesday and Wednesday. Lots of stuff there to get into, lots of stuff from the weekend to get into, and we're going to start with the thing that stinks to have to get into. But since La Liga hasn't issued a statement, and they're pretending like the game in Cadiz yesterday with Cadiz and Valencia, you know, there was nothing that happened in that match. I can't believe they haven't even issued a statement, a tweet, anything to have any kind of a comment that they are maybe investigating what happened, maybe looking into it, maybe trying to learn more, maybe trying to substantiate what the referee wrote in his referee report about what the player said was said to him. Now, the referees said they didn't hear it. That can happen. That can absolutely happen on a soccer field. Any of you who have played know that is a very possible thing. But that report's public now, and La Liga has said nothing. And you add that to the fact that Valencia felt like they had to come back on the field to play that match. The player who said he was racially abused was substituted out of the match. The player who allegedly, and we do have to say allegedly, I know that really is a frustrating element of this at times, but we do have to say that at this point. The player that allegedly did the abusing continued on until halftime and then was substituted. Doesn't really feel right. And look, there's not an easy answer here. If the referees didn't hear it, you are dealing with a very difficult situation. But the reason why this happens, the reason why what happened in Glasgow with Rangers and Sparta Prague, the reason why this continues to happen on the field is because the game doesn't do anything about it. The game doesn't try to fix it. They act like it's not a big deal, so players feel like they can get away with it, because in a lot of ways they can. Now, again, this right now, from what we know, which of course isn't coming from the league, what we know is one player said something was said. The other player, I guess, needed an extra day to figure out what to say because he is holding a press conference tomorrow in Cadiz, which feels a little odd. I don't know what the delay is for, but you know, who knows? Who knows? It is one player saying something that was said to him, and the other player is saying that it didn't happen. Said he's shocked by it. Okay, we know that much. So how do you deal with it? How does the game deal with this? In the incidents where it is abundantly clear that something happened, and yeah, a lot of times these are going to come from things that are said from the stands that you can hear on a broadcast. Punish teams from doing this. When a team who is being accused of something, like our friends from the Czech Republic have done, and they start to issue statements about, no, this is all because of the game being extremely physical, and now Kemar Roof is getting racially abused on social media. Wonder where those are originating from, just saying. Yeah, you need to deal with these things. So players who maybe lose their head, maybe are trying to get under somebody's skin, I don't care. When they do these things and we can't tell, maybe they won't feel so emboldened to do them if the game actually does something about it. And yes, this is why Gareth Bale needs to go back to Real Madrid so he can go play Cadiz. That is where we're at this point. It sucks. It sucks that we have to talk about this on a regular basis. It sucks that Thierry Henry has to get off of social media because he doesn't want to deal with this anymore. It sucks that Kemar Roof has to show us screenshots of the horrible things that are being said to him. It sucks that we have this conversation in England about more abuse on social media. It sucks that this is a giant part of the conversation around this game that we all love. But until the game actually stands up and does something about it, this is going to be the reality. This is going to be the reality, and it is maddening. Davinson Sanchez subjected to racist abuse on social media following Tottenham's 2-2 draw at Newcastle. He posted a picture of the abusive messages on his Instagram stories with the words, "Nothing changes." Callum Robinson, West Brom striker, was abused after Saturday's win at Chelsea. His club have contacted the police over the abuse, which was sent to Robinson on social media following the win. 3 big situations here, and social media companies have to do something about it. The game has to do something about it, because this is another incident where you see 2 players say something. One player of color reacts to it in a way that is not a normal reaction to somebody saying something, maybe with expletives, maybe cursing somebody out, maybe just trying to provoke a fight. You can tell a reaction of something that is pretty shocking, unless we're talking about incredible acting skills here, which I seem to not think is the case. This has got to go away. This has got to be dealt with. And it starts with FIFA. It goes down to there to UEFA. It goes down to there to the leagues. And the fact that La Liga hasn't said anything at this point, 9:07, not quite 24 hours after the game happened, and there is no statement about anything going on with this. It's a massive problem. And their regulations making Valencia feel like they have to go back on the field and they can't stay with their player who is obviously distraught because you can see it on his face sitting in the stands. He tells them they have to go back on the field because he doesn't want to be the reason why points are dropped. He has to make that decision after he is allegedly, and yes, we do have to keep saying that, has been abused. No, Coco, of course, UEFA hasn't done anything with the Rangers incident. I believe they actually said they were investigating it to step up on La Liga. But no, nothing. How long does it take to investigate that one? How long does it take to investigate this? What is the deal here? Nothing. Nothing, nothing, nothing. You had an incident in Liga MX this weekend where the referee stopped the game in Guadalajara with Chivas fans doing the chant that has been attempted to be eradicated. It has not been eradicated. I happened to catch the English language call for a little bit when this happened, and full credit to Carlos Justis, the announcer, for calling it stupid like it is stupid. And it's time to stop it. It's time to get this stuff out of the game. You want to get rid of this in the game? Again, you start punishing. You don't stop the game for a few minutes and let everybody cool down. You call the game. You blow it dead. You call it a forfeit. You start to punish. Yes, bottom line, dollars and cents, points, big-time suspensions. These are the ways to handle it. But we're not even to a point where it appears like the governing bodies are taking it seriously. And that is the maddening aspect. You're not even giving that great statement that sometimes it feels like we all look for. You know, it's not the statement that wins the PR battle. We can't even get that out of La Liga at this point. We can't even get a statement that makes us feel good at this point. They just ignore it. And those days need to be gone. They need to be gone. And look, Valencia is not in a great spot at the moment. And that probably does factor into their decision-making yesterday. They're in 12th. They're on 33 points. You know, they did end up losing this match. They are 9 points clear of the drop. But Valencia shouldn't be put in that position to feel like they have to go back on the field. I wish they hadn't. I think some of the criticism of Valencia is a little harsh, though. It's not their fault that they are concerned about points and league standing and these things. That's what players do. This is a moment that's very difficult for players to snap into and have to make the right decision. It's easy for people to sit on a couch and make that decision for them. It's not fair to criticize the Valencia players for going back out. I wish they felt like they were empowered to be able to take a stand. I wish they were. I wish the league would do something here. I wish the league would make a statement that this is not going to continue. But it's a soap opera at this point, because now we've got the player on the other side saying, I'm going to have a media availability tomorrow to talk about this. I'm calm. I won't hide. Tomorrow I'll talk at the press conference. It seems there's no presumption of innocence in this country. Juan Cala, the Cadiz player who has been accused of this, he said that to El Golazo de Gol, which is a Twitter account. It's not okay anymore. And at some point, maybe it's going to take... Valencia might not feel like they were in a position where they ended up losing the 3 points anyway. They didn't feel like they could risk it. They had to try to go get the 3 points. Maybe it's going to take a Real Madrid. Maybe it's going to take a Barcelona. Maybe it's going to take a team at the top of the table to make that stand. This, I think, in another way, and it's a different situation, but it makes what Landon Donovan and San Diego Loyal did, what they did last year, even more impressive. And it's not that it's not impressive on the other side, because you shouldn't be in the situation to begin with. Valencia shouldn't have been placed in that. But what Landon and San Diego did took incredible guts, and it did seem to bring about a conversation that will hopefully make the USL Championship a better place. Seemed to bring about a few things. Be nice if La Liga took note of that and did the same, but they haven't. It's an awful situation. It's got to stop. The social media abuse has to stop. And yeah, I hate talking about this seemingly every Monday because something new happens over the weekend, but it's where we are, and it's been where we've been for a long time. And if you love this game and you love the people in it, you need to fight to get this stuff out of it, because it keeps people from being part of this game. It drives people out of this game, and that's the last thing we need.
I was touring all the action that was going on at the time, and then I see in a Twitter timeline about this incident going on. I go over and watch the game. I tune in starting during the delay and the end of the delay as Valencia is coming back out. First and foremost, I give full credit to Valencia and Mukhtar Diakabi's teammates. They hear from him. They instantly hit the tunnel as a group. They're out, and they are heading back to the tunnel. They want nothing to do with what's going on the pitch. But for them, and to hear from Diakabi that, you have to go back out there because you have been told that you will lose 3 points if you don't go back out there and you're in the situation that you're currently in the table. It's disappointing, and La Liga needs to, initially I was going to say La Liga do better. I would just like for La Liga to do something.
Okay, stop. We do have something from La Liga from a few minutes ago. It's Javier Tebas. He said, "We have carried out an internal investigation procedure. It is clear from the reaction of the Valencia player, Mukhtar Diakabi, that something has happened. From La Liga, we condemn any act of racism, and we will act against it." Okay, I mean that's a starting point. That's fine. That should have happened earlier. Okay, that's progress here. There's a lot, and this is why I kind of wanted to start in a different direction, John, because I absolutely give the Valencia players credit for walking off initially. I absolutely do. But that's not the story. That's not the story. They shouldn't have to. The story is not that some people did something good here. It's that something bad happened again. That's the story. And I'm glad that some players handled it well, but they shouldn't have to anymore. We shouldn't still be doing this over and over again. And, okay, La Liga's finally got something out there. Good. They've carried out an internal investigation. Good. They do not try to sweep it under the rug here finally. Good. What's the punishment going to be? What can you do to actually get to a punishment? Because from all we know at this point, the referee has written a report. The referee quoted what Diakabi said was said to him. And it's horrendous. And it should not be said on a field of any sport. It is wrong. It's out there. I'm not going to repeat it. It's out there. That's the story. That's the story. I think too often when this stuff happens, we get hung up on, a good action or a good statement about it rather than how to fix it. And that's what we have to get to at some point. We have to get to. I really do truly believe, you can call me naive if you want, I do truly believe that the majority of people are good and the majority of people hate this crap. I do believe that. But man, it keeps happening. And I do believe that when it happens, there are going to be people who react well and try to support people. And I'm not surprised by that. I'm surprised that it is yet another time, after we just had one a few weeks ago in UEFA. Not even a few weeks ago, I guess. I can't even keep up at this point. I mean, we need a counter. It's getting to that point. We need action. We need action to stop it, not action in response to it, which is, again, it's good. I'm not saying it's not, but we can't zero in on that, honestly, anymore. I hate it. We need to fix it. Social media companies, I saw the question pop up in the Twitch pitch. What can they do? Make sure they know who's on their platform. No more anonymous crap. You can have a different name and all that. That's fine. Okay. Prove who you are when you sign up for an account. So, if you do something like this, well, somebody's going to come knocking on your door. And if you get banned, you can't just go start another account. I mean, I heard Gabby Agbonlahor on TalkSport early this morning talking about it. And, I mean, it's so ridiculous when Gabby's talking about this and he says, look, I stopped reporting this. It's not worth it. It's not worth the trouble anymore. I'll let my followers do that. But it's not worth my time anymore. Because if I report somebody and block somebody, they're just going to pop up with a new account. That doesn't fix it. The emojis, get rid of them. The emojis, anything that can be used in a negative racial context, get rid of them. The fact that there are still monkey emojis on these things, no. No, you've already seen them abused. The fact that there are gun emojis on these things, you've already seen them abused. Get rid of this stuff. That's on the social media companies. There's no excuse. Actually have identity checks on this. And if you want to complain and you want to pitch a fit, that's fine. You can go find another platform to use. But too many people are being abused in these situations for nothing they did. Nothing they did. And it's got to stop. That is one tangible thing that can be done. Another, Javier Tebas, you say you've carried out an internal investigation. You say it's clear that something has happened from the reaction of Diakabi. Okay, what are you going to do about it? What's the punishment? How are you going to get to the punishment? The referee said they didn't hear it. Are you going to force the player to admit it? Or are you going to be able to get that? Are you going to have somebody else say, yes, we heard this. Another teammate heard it. Somebody else heard it. Are you going to get to that point? Are you going to be able to prove that? Because if you can, and if you do, what's the punishment going to be? A game, a fine, a couple games, a bigger fine? No. None of that's acceptable anymore. You do this stuff, you're out for a year. Let's get real with it now. FIFA, UEFA, CONCACAF, CONMEBOL, all of them. None of the nonsense like you tried to do on Edinson Cavani either. None of that garbage. This is legit. This is a problem. Treat it like it's a problem. That stuff makes it look like it's not as big of a deal because you're trifling with things. You're not even trying to understand situations. Fix it. That's what I want to zero in on at this point. I'm very glad, and I'm not trying to diminish what you're saying, John, but I feel like at times we just get too hung up on that side of it at this point, and I'm always looking for the good in situations. You know me by now, but it's not fixing it. It's not fixing it. I mean, the players did the right thing in walking off with Diakabi, but they had to go back out there because they were worried about punishment of their own, which shouldn't be part of it. They shouldn't be put in that situation. I'm glad they did the right thing. I'm glad they supported their teammate. I am. But that doesn't make it go away. That's what we have to get to. They have to punish these things more severely. People need to be banned for long periods of time. People need to not get away with some of the things that they've gotten away with. Zlatan, what he said, just swept under the rug like it was a funny joke. Ha ha. No. When those things happen, it's why players feel emboldened to do what they've done in the last few weeks on the field of play, trying to say something to one player, not yelling it out, but being slick about it, trying to be slick about it anyway, and saying it to one person to racially abuse them, and that should not happen in this game anymore, and people who do it should not be part of the game. That needs to be the point. That needs to be what gets fixed.
One of the disappointing aspects of all of this, as far back as I can remember, is the lack of decision-making, lack of activity, the idea that social media companies, whomever it is, whatever social media company you want to discuss, they'll say some kind of half-baked platitude, and then they won't address the problem. And they'll say, oh yeah, we'll get to it. All of this "we'll get to it" means that folks will continue to do it until you step up and actually do something about it. We talk about, social media muscles that's associated mainly with Twitter, where folks will sit there and they'll hide behind an account. They'll run their mouths for 280 characters or put it in a couple of tweets and sit there and they'll run their mouth about something, and then they'll go back and hide behind this identity. That has to stop. People have to be taken off of these social media platforms when they want to run their mouths like this and not attach themselves to their own identity. It's like you sign up for something, you sign up as you. You do something like this, you're called out for it, you're taken off the platform, you're suspended from it, whatever. And if you don't like it, then as you said, go find another platform where there are less folks that might, have the same kind of ideas that you do, and let the rest of us have our own social media platforms and let us actually have civil discourse and actual conversations where we're talking about things. The lack of activity, the lack of action from social media companies in instances like the ones we're talking about, where you're talking about folks on Twitter and you're running emojis and you're running your mouth, it's disgusting. And I know that they're looking at their bottom lines in all of this, and they're looking at their public personas. Stop it. Do the right thing in all of this. And that is the most disappointing aspect in all of this. You've had repeated opportunities to fix things, and you haven't done it yet. When is that break moment? When is that breaking moment where you're going to sit there and finally do something when you should have been doing something a lot beforehand?
You've had opportunities to start to fix these things all season long, just from a sports perspective, just from this sports perspective, with players being racially abused. Feels like every other day, and the social media companies aren't doing anything about it. It's ridiculous. And yeah, I mean, it's just where it's just getting to this point where it is absurd. I mixed up my Pragues. I apologize to Sparta Prague earlier, Slavia Prague, who was involved in the racist situation with Rangers. It's absurd. Colin Miller, MILLAR_Colin, is all over this out of Spain. Valencia president Anil Murthy gave an interview with Diakabi at his side, and he said, even if Juan Cala denies it, we all know how to recognize a guilty face. And that was very clear from watching the video on Cala's face after he said it. Everyone who watched TV yesterday was able to watch it. So he's not waiting for Juan Cala's delayed response to this. Just a crazy thought. And again, we're not going to find out. We're going to have probably one side say, no, I didn't say anything, and the other side, yes, you did. And that's how this is going to try to go down from the other side. We all saw what happened. It doesn't feel like what was said was nothing when you watch that back. But, if somebody falsely accused me of something, I would not be waiting 48 hours to give my defense.
Mm-mm.
It's incredible. I'm glad that Valencia is back in their player here. I'm glad that the league is finally making a statement. The La Liga statement, Colin Miller had it at 8:53 as new. It did take too long, but it is a step in the right direction. Valencia has been pushing the league for clarification on what happened, future protocol for similar incidents, and officials at Valencia are very concerned about Diakabi state of mind following the episode. It sounds like they're going to really go out of their way to make this right as best they can and support him and also fight against it. We got to keep fighting. We have to keep fighting. I know it's complicated, and I am not a lawyer. I do not know how you can deal with this with the social media companies. I know a lot of reasons that make it complicated, but it's beyond time to figure something out here. It is beyond time to figure it out. You have to have moderation policies in place in general. You're going to have identity policies in place too. You're going to have to come up with something. You're going to have to figure that out. And that's just how it's going to have to be going forward on that side of it. The leagues, the confederations, FIFA have to actually take it seriously. As was pointed out in the Twitch pitch, when and I believe this is true without completely fact-checking it, the longest suspension for a racial incident this season is Edinson Cavani, which was not even what it was trumped up to be. And that was really shown very easily by a number of scholars of the Spanish language in Uruguay as to what happened in that situation. That is the one that has been punished the most severely. That shows you what is wrong with the picture. That shows you what is wrong here. It is absurd, and it's got to stop, and it's got to go away, and we've got to keep fighting it. And I don't like taking the time away from the good things about the game, but we have to. We have to, and it's got to change. Kids coming up in the game should not be exposed to it. Players involved in it now, coaches, staff, anybody should not be exposed to it. It has to go away. People can't feel comfortable doing it. If we had seen a different situation with the Slavia Prague element not that long ago with Rangers, maybe Juan Cala doesn't feel so comfortable doing what he did. Maybe not. Maybe not. But maybe. We need to find out. We need to find out that if we actually punish these players severely, actually show that the game is going to take this seriously, if we do that, maybe some people won't feel so comfortable to do these things on the pitch and racially abuse other players. Maybe when people in the stands, and look, we're going to get back to that point here pretty soon, maybe when it happens there and you can hear it on a TV broadcast, as we have heard many times over the years, maybe when that team has forfeits, maybe when they are docked points, maybe when they are forced to be relegated because of this stuff, maybe you'll see it change. Slaps on the wrist, throwing the book at Edinson Cavani for something that was more offensive that you actually punished Edinson Cavani. It was more offensive that you did that because you showed no cultural context of anything in what you did. And that's the FA. That's not the UEFA. That's not FIFA. That's the FA here. It just shows how messed up this whole thing is. So fix it. And we're going to keep fighting to get it fixed. And, you know, we're just a little soccer show here in Atlanta. But there are other people out there doing the same thing. And if you care about the game, you should want to be having the conversations about great soccer this weekend. Great soccer coming up this week. And we will, because we're not going to let those idiots win. But yeah, we got to spend time talking about it. And it sucks. It sucks. It sucks the most in this situation for Diakabi. And he shouldn't have to go through that. And I'm glad his teammates had his back. I really am. But shouldn't happen. Shouldn't have happened. There should have been protocols in place so it could have been dealt with better. He shouldn't be punished by having to be subbed out of the game. You know, and the person who does it is okay and just finishes playing that half. I mean, Diakabi got a yellow card in the incident. That shouldn't happen. Like, these are all things that are difficult. And look, the referee side of it, I mean, that's going to take a whole lot more analysis. Like, I don't know if he was in a position to hear it or not. I don't know if he just didn't hear anything, sees what he sees, gives yellow cards. Okay, it's tough. It's very tough. But we've got to come up with ways to handle these things better. And more than anything, we just got to make it uncomfortable for people to be blatant racists in this game. Because right now, I mean, what punishment are they going to see? We haven't really seen any of that yet. We've seen far more of nothing than actual, real, substantial punishment. So it's frustrating. It's very, very frustrating. And yeah, we're going to continue to point it out, and we're going to continue to talk about it. We're going to have to keep fighting to see it change. So sorry to take 30 minutes with that. It's just what it is, and it's something that is important, and it's something that needs to go away. So hopefully it will. We're going to keep fighting to make that happen as best we can. We do have a lot of other things on the good side to get into today. We've got UEFA Champions League back tomorrow. We've got ConcaChampions back tomorrow. We've got real good games from the weekend to talk about as well. Let's get caught up really quick. We'll get deeper into the UEFA Champions League tonight, but just the schedule for this week there. You've got 2 games on Tuesday, 2 on Wednesday in the quarterfinals. It's Manchester City and Borussia Dortmund Tuesday, Real Madrid and Liverpool on Tuesday, Bayern and PSG on Wednesday, Porto and Chelsea on Wednesday. Federico Valverde of Real Madrid is expected to be available, probably not to start against Liverpool. He could come off the bench, but he is training with the squad. It's one of about 500 players that's been injured for Real Madrid, so it's a step in the right direction. Liverpool with a really good win over the weekend. Manchester City comes in on a hot streak. Borussia Dortmund, not so much. There's all kinds of Erling Haaland talk. We'll get into that. PSG, also not so much. They come in off of a loss in league play. Neymar is getting yelled at by every pundit in Europe for picking up a really dumb red card. Just coming back from injury. Now he's going to miss another game in league play. Bayern just keeps on trucking. They didn't look great against RB Leipzig. They didn't have to. They controlled the game even without the ball and handled things, and they get their 1-0 win. They pretty much have the Bundesliga sealed up now, and they can focus almost exclusively on Champions League. Porto and Chelsea, I mean, if you're Porto, you got to be pretty happy about getting Chelsea right now, because Chelsea, and it's funny how when a manager is the favorite of some outlets, you conveniently forget that Chelsea had a first half red card in this game where Chelsea loses 5-2 to Big Sam and West Brom. Big Sam's doing like a victory lap. Yeah, oh yeah, we played great. Yeah, we were open. Yeah, it was great. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, we did get a little fortunate with the red card in the first half. It was a nice bonus. Yeah, it's good. It's good to play against 10. It's good. We were aggressive. We took the fight to them. Well, we had a man advantage.
You had one more guy.
We had a man advantage. It's kind of nice. But Chelsea, gets punched in the face, and now they got to go to Portugal and probably get punched in the face by Pepe. Literally, possibly, maybe. It's Pepe. He's 38. He might punch him in the face. It's been known to happen before he was 38. So Porto gets maybe a wobbly Chelsea, maybe not a wobbly Chelsea. We'll find out. We'll see what they're made of mentally, and we'll see what Tommy Tuchel's made of picking his squad back up. He did make a point after the final whistle of trying to get to everybody and lift their spirits. I mean, you go a man down, you give up a couple of golazos. Yeah, you're chasing the game at that point. You're going to get exposed. I mean, that's just how it is. But you've got to bounce back now, and you've got to go into a tough place and really manage the first leg and probably get a result to feel comfortable going into the second leg.
And going back to the match on the weekend, Christian Pulisic has a knock now with the hamstring. He's going to be out for a little while.
And I mean, the thing that feels like every other day that ends in Y, sadly.
I know, true.
I mean, some people, that's just their body type. And for Christian, that's absolutely an issue for him. Is there anything that can be done physically to prevent this? I don't know, but it happens so much that it's got to be explored. Like, is there something about training? Is there something about other muscle groups? Like, what is it? What is it? The injury issues, I mean, it does make an impact on how a club, how a manager feels about that player. And it's not a negative sense of trust. It's just you keep expecting them to get hurt again.
It's wariness, I guess.
No, I mean, it's trust. It's just you can't trust them to get into a run in games. It's just It's not like they're doing something wrong. It's their body is. And you've got to try to figure that out. Is he just going to be that player that just cannot play a full season? If he is, then okay, manage it. Figure out what he is then. But if there's something you can do to change it, you've got to figure it out. Pacine, calls out Michael Owen 2.0. Yeah, but I mean, Owen at least had a long career and contributed for a long time. Now, was he up and down? Yeah. But I'm starting to worry about Pulisic being able to put any kind of stretch of consistent games together.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, Sam Williamson said the way he runs, is it something like that? Is it something with, is it something with his hip? Is it something with his knee? Is it something, with his stride? I don't know.
Yeah, is it his form? That was
no idea. I don't know. Is it something about, maybe he just can't train as much. Maybe he's one of those guys. I don't know. But they've got to try to explore this and figure this out. It's craziness. And Johannes, and this is the thing we don't know, and this is another element to this. Sometimes you have to play through injuries. You're not going to be 100%. Yep. Is this an issue where Pulisic has an internal fear when he feels something?
True.
Is it almost like a PTSD kind of situation where he feels a slight twinge and he's like, I'm going to pull it. I'm going to pull it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it feels like every time that it happens, there is an injury and he's pulled out. I don't know if the club is protecting him in that way or not. It's so hard. And yes, Karen Hellig, you get to a point where if you're Greg Berhalter, you have to ask, can you count on Christian Pulisic in World Cup qualifiers? Does he become a super sub? Can you just not count on him to be a starter? I don't know. I don't know, but these are questions that are really starting to come to the fore.
And for the record, right now, Tommy Tuchel is a favorite at Porto, fairly substantially. Juice boxes this morning have Chelsea at a minus 130 to win, and Porto is north of plus 400 to win at home.
Yeah, I mean, I think Chelsea gets it done. I do. But they're going to be tested mentally here. They're going to be tested in a big way mentally here because they've got to bounce back after their first bit of adversity under Thomas Tuchel. They should. They're the better team. I mean, that part's not even close to me. But we're going to see what they're made of a little bit.
Yeah, you've got a quick turn off of a match where you went up against Big Sam and his version of Loyola Marymount. And it's, how do you respond mentally? Do you just sit there and put that game in the refuse bin? Is it file 13 for that match?
Wait a minute. Big Sam's version of Loyola Marymount? Explain what you're saying.
Oh, just the notion that we were aggressive and we did all these things and we ran up the field up and down and we scored 5. Yeah, good for you. You had a man advantage.
Okay, I was just checking. I wasn't sure where that was going.
No, trust me. I'm jamming on the Big Sam and then the gravy boat there, but it's just how quickly do you put this match in file 13? You sit there and you put it away and just focus on what's going on in front of you and not let what happened with the red card bog you down going into a match that you should win and should take care of. You should at least take care of business in very short order.
Now, I will say this about Big Sam's victory lap. Yeah, I think it was Sam Williams, and he said I was triggered because we started talking about Big Sam. Yeah, because their XG was like 1.2 or 3 or something.
Less than Chelsea.
Chelsea's was 2.5. I mean, you look at the numbers, possession with 10 men, Chelsea had 66% of the ball. They had more shots than West Brom. They had more shots on target. West Brom converted 5 of 7 shots on target. I mean, West Brom really still wasn't even taking the game to Chelsea. They were still doing what they do. They just had a man advantage, so it was easier to do it because you could counter into space and do your thing. It was a Big Sam masterclass. The only thing that would be a bigger masterclass is Big Sam making a wonderful brown gravy in his kitchen. That would be the only thing that would be better.
That has an incredible constitution and is just the thickest thing you've ever seen.
That doesn't necessarily make it good, John. Just thick gravy doesn't necessarily equal goodness. Big Sam might like the thin gravy. I don't know. Big Sam's a connoisseur, I'm assuming, so he can tell us all about that when he chooses to. But West Brom got the big win. They're still getting relegated. Mm-hmm. That's not going away. Fulham had a chance to get into a good spot, and they did not. We'll talk about that tonight on Soccer Over There. Let's get into ConcaChampions because this is a lot of fun getting started tomorrow. You got 3 games tomorrow night. You've got 3 games on Wednesday, 2 on Thursday. First leg of the round of 16. It is Marathon hosting Portland tomorrow at 6. It is Alajuelense hosting Atlanta tomorrow at 8. It is Arque hosting Cruz Azul at 10, and that game's going to be played in the Dominican Republic. Wednesday, it is Saprissa hosting Philadelphia at 6. It is Leon hosting Toronto at 8. That's an interesting one. Olympia hosting Club America at 10. And then Thursday, it is Real Esteli hosting Columbus at 8. And it is Atletico Pantoja hosting Monterrey at 10. Do you have numbers on Pantoja and Monterrey?
Yes, I do.
I would be curious to hear what they are.
Okay, courtesy of our friends at Odds Portal, Pantoja is a plus 542, and this is a composite of about a dozen different juice box purveyors. Your draw is a plus 277, and Monterrey is a minus 200.
I usually don't like those kinds of things, but if you can get free money, you take it. Minus 200 for Monterrey is free money. You want to know why? Atletico Pantoja. This is their second time in the CONCACAF Champions League. Last time they were in, they lost 5-0 on aggregate to the Red Bulls in 2019. The last match they played officially was November 7th. In their fall series that I don't know what it was in the Dominican League, they went 1-4-1 after the restart of play that only lasted for a little while. They had a media availability late last week, and the club sporting director presented the new roster, a new coaching staff, and everything to get ready for the new campaign because they haven't had a season.
Yeah.
I mean, we can laugh, but they haven't had anything to do.
It's our debut, so we got to roll out all the info.
Well, they didn't have it. They didn't have any games. So, I mean, why do you need a roster? They got 11 players back. They got 10 new players. They have a new coaching staff. And, yeah, they haven't played a competitive game. I don't think they've played a game, period, since November, from what we can tell. Monterrey is kind of good. That feels like I'm actually blown away that it's not a wider margin on those numbers. Monterrey should walk through this one, no question about it. I would be surprised if we see Funes Mori, Mesa, Montes, Gallardo, any regulars. If you're Monterrey, send the U20s. Send the U20s. Send anybody on the bench who hasn't played in a little while. Don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it. They won on the weekend 2-0 over Atlético San Luis. Meza and Funes Mori with the goals. One loss in their last 7, and that was to Cruz Azul. Monterrey has the by far easiest road here.
Well, you want the Cruz Azul Arcaje number?
It shouldn't be more, but it probably is based on your reaction. It shouldn't be more because at least I can find that Arce has played preseason games. I mean, I know who scored goals for them in preseason games recently. At least they've done something. Cruz Azul has done a lot of good things. That number is probably obscene.
It is. Arcaje is a plus 1433 in the composite.
Yeah.
Your draw is a plus 683, and Cruz Azul is a minus 769.
That's also free money. It's not as much free money, but it's free money. Arcaí has gotten here because their last official match was a loss in semifinals in the CONCACAF League on January 22nd. They have played some friendlies. They defeated a local team, Baltimore SC, in Haiti, 2-0 on March 28th. They won another friendly 5-2 on March 18th. I at least had an active roster for Arcaí when you look at them. They're playing a tougher opponent in Cruz Azul. It's not like Monterrey is actually chopped liver or anything, but Cruz Azul is on a record-setting pace right now. They've won 11 in a row. That's their club record. That broke something going back to 1971-72. They're one away from the Liga MX record. That's 12 straight. León in 2019, Necaxa in 1934-35. Cruz Azul is also not sending any regulars. That is already out there. They play tomorrow. Heavily rotated group. No Jesus Corona, no Cata Dominguez, no Cabecita Rodriguez, no Paul Fernandez, no Pablo Aguilar, no Orbelín Pineda, no Luis Romo. They play Chivas on the weekend. A bunch of U20 guys with this group, couple of first-team backups with this group that is going to the Dominican Republic. We know Portland is in Honduras for the match with Marathon. Marathon has not really been good. They did win on the weekend. They beat Platense Football Club 1-0. That was their first win since February 24th. They did rotate their lineup for that, and maybe that gives their manager some thoughts of, maybe I should just play these guys that have been sitting on the bench the whole time. They actually got a win. Giovanni Savarese gave some interviews in Honduras, and he said all the right things. You know, I mean, he showed a lot of respect to Marathon. He said they've had problems in the season. They'll make it difficult. Portland's done a lot of work to plan, show the players what they need here. He said having the second leg at home only matters if they achieve things in the first leg. They manage it. They do hope to have Sebastian Blanco play a role coming off of the ACL injury from last year. They hope to have Andy Polo, and I think it's probably going to come down to quarantine situations. He is joining the team or at least he's trying to, from Peru, where he got his green card. So they're hoping he will be available with the group. That's the 6 o'clock game. 8 o'clock is Alajuelense in Atlanta, and we will get into that here in just a second. 10 o'clock is the Arcaí and Cruz Azul. A couple of other notes about the games from Wednesday. Saprissa, man, they are still disappointing. Scoreless draw yesterday against Cartaginés. Their last win was February 21st. 5 draws, 2 losses since then. They've only scored 5 goals in their last 8 games. Now, Jim Curtin's team does have injuries. They will not be really that close to full strength, but they're playing a really bad offensive team in Saprissa. It is on the road. Going to have to deal with that. Philadelphia should get a result. Philadelphia should absolutely get a result. The most interesting game might be the 8 o'clock game. on Wednesday. Actually, the 8 and the 10 are both interesting, but the 8 is going to be the most because it's León and Toronto. Toronto had a good win in preseason over the weekend, 4-2 over Columbus, and it was both teams at pretty much full strength getting ready for CONCACAF Champions League. Josie Altidore scored in that one. León is starting to turn it around as well. They started slowly in the Clausura. 3 straight wins now. They beat Toluca yesterday 2-1. This is a heavyweight fight with León and Toronto, and we're going to get a sense of what Chris Armas wants to do with Toronto really, really quickly in this first game in Mexico. The late game Wednesday is Olimpia and Club America. Santiago Solari is going to likely play Nicolas Benedetti and Bruno Valdez here. Valdez had a double partial rupture of the ACL on August 22nd, 2020. Now, he's played 3 times with the U20s as part of his recovery. He was on the bench Saturday when they beat Necaxa, but he wasn't brought into the match. Solari is going to use this game to get him minutes to start to get him back for the stretch run and the Liguilla. Benedetti's had serious knee injuries. He's had complications recovering. He's only played 15 minutes in the whole season. They're probably going to get those guys time. They're going to sit Cordova and Martin. Both were out for the Necaxa game. They're coming back from injuries. Cordova had he was stepped on in the final of the Olympic qualifying tournament against Honduras. He hasn't been back since then. And muscular discomfort for Martin kept him away from the Mexican national team when they played Wales and Costa Rica in Europe. Olimpia will be missing some players as well. They'll be missing Davy Flores, one of their better players. But Pedro Trollio, their manager, Argentine legend, said that they will play vertical. They will try to get forward quickly. They will try to use their speed to get in behind. We saw them last year give teams some problems in CONCACAF Champions League. They are coming in really good form. They won 3-1 over Real Sociedad. They've won 5 of their last 7 in league play. They've got the best record in Honduras in the current Clausura. They could pull some upsets here. They could. They're facing a really good team, though. Club America, I think, would be 9 in a row with wins if that game where they screwed up the lineup card hadn't went against them. That's the only loss they've had in that 9. They'd be 9 in a row with wins if that hadn't happened. Santiago Solari has done a really good job, and he's going to use this first leg kind of strategically to get some guys minutes, but they can't sleep on Olimpia. Olimpia at home can especially make things difficult for them.
Right now, and obviously things might shift a little bit between now and game time, Olimpia at home is a plus 202. Your draw is a plus 235. Club America is a plus 124. So a bit of a road favorite for Club America heading to Olimpia.
Yeah, they should be. I mean, they absolutely should be. If you're feeling really squirrely, the draw could be an interesting one there, but they should be. What are the numbers on León and Toronto?
León is a minus 154. Your draw is a plus 312, and Toronto is a plus 373.
It's hard to call, I mean, because we haven't seen Toronto in a competitive game, but that does get my interest. That's interesting.
Now I'll give you the early one. Saprissa is a minus 130. Your draw is a plus 309, and Philadelphia is a plus 270.
I like the draw on that one because I think Jim Curtin will be a little strategic there. I think he's probably going to need to be. So they come out of there with a draw, and especially against a team that's not very good offensively. You manage that first leg. Don't let it get away from you. You should be fine in the second. I'll be curious about that one. And the draw in Philadelphia Saprissa feels like the best of those that grabs my attention. Real quick before we get to the bottom of the hour, Alajuelense on the weekend, they drew 1-1 with Herediano. They did move their lineup around a little bit. They rested guys. They left some guys out completely. They had limited minutes for other guys. They played Junior Diaz, a 37-year-old, primarily center back at left back. They moved Jose Cubero, normally a holding midfielder, into center back, which is something they had talked about here recently in local interviews. Brian Ruiz didn't play. Fernan Farron did not play at all. Venegas only played about 30 minutes up top. Marcel Hernandez came off after 77. I mean, I don't know. That doesn't really feel like resting too much. It's 13 minutes. One thing they did that was interesting is when Venegas came into the match in the 62nd minute, he came in up top. Jürgens Montenegro, who had the goal here, he moved out wide to one of those winger positions in their 4-4-2. That would be an intriguing thing that they could do here, where it's essentially 3 forwards, but one of them is coming from a very wide position. The 4-4-2 that they play can turn into a 4-2-4 really quickly with their wingers up really high, so it's not completely strange to have a number 9 in that position, and it's something that they could do depending on where the game goes and what they need in it. The goal that they scored was in the 40th minute. Montenegro scored it off of just a horrible mistake by Herediano's defense. I mean, laughably horrible, schoolboy, whatever insult you want to throw at it. It was bad, 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 bad. That was all Alajuelense got out of this. Were they looking ahead? Well, I mean, they rested Fadrón, and that could be somebody who starts. I could see him. He's the young center back who's played a good bit this season. So, okay, I could see that. Brian Ruiz will play on tomorrow night. I think that's an easy one. So resting him at 35 years old, coming back from national team duty, not surprised by that one at all. Resting Venegas, okay, get it. I do wonder if the idea of playing Diaz out wide, was it just to give the left backs the day off, or was it to look at something you could possibly do where your 4 in the back could turn into 5 really easily, or could just turn into 3 staying home if you decide to be lopsided? I also wonder if you're putting the center back at left back because you want somebody to be able to defend Jürgen Damm 1v1 in those situations a little bit more, because he's going to be a player that Alajuelense is very, very aware of. There was a quote from their manager in local media over the weekend that they don't know much about Atlanta. There hasn't been much to see, so the secrecy has worked, unless he's being cagey with what he's saying, and maybe he knows more than we think he knows.
Yeah.
But he said he doesn't know much. He has a sense of how they'll play. But they're going to try to play their game and learn as they go, is basically where he left it. So it's not going to be easy tomorrow night for Atlanta United. I do think they can manage this effectively and do what they have to do, but yeah, it's not going to be easy. You're playing a team that hasn't lost in 25 games. Now, they do have in their last 6, 3 wins and 3 draws. And they haven't been finding a ton of goals lately either. So we'll see. We'll see what it looks like. But it's a clash of styles, because the way that Alajuelense lines it up, it's a little different than the typical MLS teams that Atlanta will see this season. And it could prove to be a little more challenging in some ways. And I think the biggest challenge is just you won't be sharp. You won't have a match rhythm yet, but you might be able to speed the game up to take advantage of some advantages that you have. I think you're a faster team. I think you're a better team.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to be at your best in terms of quality, but can you be at your best in terms of the physical nature of it because you're fresh? Maybe. Maybe that's where you can find an advantage here. Be interesting to see. All right. It is 9:59. That means, yes, there you go. Thank you. That means John is getting ready to tell us about our good friend over in Decatur, Steve Apolinsky.
Apolinsky & Associates, LLC, proud supporters of everything soccer down here in the SDH network. For wrongful death and serious injury matters, there's only one place you need to go, and it is to Apolinsky & Associates, LLC, to get all of your questions answered. You can do it one of 3 ways. You can pick up the phone, get a free consultation at 404-377-9191. You can go and shoot Steve an email if you want, steve at aa-legal.com. Send him your questions that way. Or you can go on the World Wide Web, large device or small. In the address bar, type in aa-legal.com, hit the enter key, the return key, the arrow key, whatever advances you to the homepage for Apolinsky & Associates, LLC. And in addition to seeing all of the recognitions and accolades and all of the cool things that they have been recognized for in their history, which is over 30 years of experience and over $40 million in judgments for their clients in Georgia and Alabama. So 2 time zones represented. You can get your assistance that way. If your questions aren't answered for some reason, by clicking on a tab, going to scroll down menu, finding something that way, there's a pop-up window that pops up, because that's what pop-up windows do. They pop up 24/7, 365 and a quarter. Recognized as Legal Elite by Georgia Trend Magazine for being one of the top 100 firms in this here state of Georgia. For wrongful death and serious injury matters, there's only one place you need to go. It's Appolinsky & Associates, LLC, and the website is aa-legal.com.
Huh. That was a weird one.
Couple different directions. Yeah, the order was changed up a little bit for variety, which is what some folks have been asking for.
You gotta stop reading the comment section, John. Also,
no, I'm listening to what you're saying.
I'm reading the comment section, but you got to stop soaking it in, maybe, because you did in the middle of that what I think it makes you do, which is spin around in a circle.
Trying to figure out what direction to go next. What information have I not disclosed that I need to before the end of the promo read?
That was weird. -1. Who calls it the return key? Such a good start. Now going off the rails. Yeah, that was my gut feeling too. 9 out of 10. 7.5. Felt really suave. Rough landing. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. 5.5. No, that part I would probably go with different words, but rough landing, yes. 5.5. Got rambly. 8.76. -2, +1, or -2 started too fast. +1 improved. -2, too many hand swipes returns. +2 thoughtful today. 9 out of 10. Different. 7, okay. Just
So it's a crappy dunk. I get it.
6, better than middling, but short of impressive. That's really good.
Wow.
A 10, Alex. Yes.
Thank you, Alex.
Accurate.
Morning. Sorry.
8 out of 10. No words. It was good, then bad, then I have no idea. 4.3456.
Thank you. Is that the East German, Western Russian judge?
Just the East German judge. Solid. Like when it's not the same read over and 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 over. 9.42. I was going to give an 8, but the pause made it a 6. I like this one. I kind of like this one. 9. 9.2 out of 10.
Wow.
Full attention, eye contact, focused, appropriate use of hands, and a few awkward pauses. 7.2, a little spastic. 8.
A little spastic.
Little spastic. Little spastic. Oh, we got a little bit of this to get to. U.S. Soccer announces, continuing its efforts as a leader in player safety, U.S. Soccer will implement concussion substitutions in 2021. The new rule allows teams to make 2 concussion substitutes to replace players with head injuries, regardless of the number of substitutions already used. Now let's go to the release. U.S. Soccer and all U.S. professional leagues will implement 2 concussion substitutes for 2021 in a pilot program pending approval from FIFA IFAB. FIFA and IFAB created this pilot program. They did give leagues and federations the ability to try different things. There's different groups doing it different ways. This one, I'm looking to see if there is anything else to it. You can make 2. Doesn't matter how many subs you've already made. So that is the max that the pilot allows you to do. It was in place for the She Believes Cup in February. IFAB approved the trials back in December. And yeah, that's it. It's not the if you allow it for one team, then the other team can make a substitution. It's not that variant that can be done. If you have players who have an apparent head injury, they can be substituted. That is what U.S. Soccer is doing. That will be in effect for MLS, USL Championship, all professional leagues. I would assume that USL League 2, NPSL, UPSL would do the same. But professional leagues and U.S. Soccer events will have this.
Good deal. And I know that we had in the weekend in the Premier League, there was in the Sheffield United match, I think we had our first implementation of the concussion sub there. It was a reclassification of a substitution. A player for Sheffield United was injured, came off, went back in for a couple of minutes, then was substituted out, then was reclassified as the concussion sub. But it's good that we're seeing this from U.S. Soccer.
Dr. D says, not to be negative Nancy, but what do they do to combat misuse? They didn't post the whole rule, so I mean, I'm assuming there's some kind of an approval process there. There would have to be. It is permanent subs. There was a great study. I thought temporary subs would be the way to go. I was wrong. There was a study that IFAB cited. I think it might have been done in the UK about, and this might have been in the rugby situation, where there was a fairly substantial number, and one is substantial enough, but it was far more than one, of people who thought they'd have a concussion. They were temporarily subbed. They went back into the game, and then it was found out later that they did have a concussion, and they went back in and at a great risk of further injury. So if that's happening at any kind of a significant number, then yeah, the temporary sub doesn't fix the issue. So I've definitely changed my way of thinking after that study, and this is a good step for U.S. Soccer. And whatever the rule ends up being, if it is just straight up 2 subs for concussions, if you have 2 incidents done, if it is 1 and then another one if something else or whatever, like whatever they figure out, it is a step in the right direction. Create the rule, get it written, figure out which pilot works the best, and we move forward. It's good from IFAB, it's good from FIFA to have this.
Yep.
This will be an MLS in 2021. No confusion, Jason Nix. It is straight up in every professional league in this country in 2021.
Cool. Excelente. Good to see.
Yeah, permanent subs. If the team uses a concussion sub, then the other team gets an additional sub. Is that definite, Johannes? Because that's not the way U.S. Soccer had it in their release. It just said 2 concussion subs, period. I know some leagues and federations have done that if you use 1, then the other team gets an additional sub. That would then curb misuse. That wasn't how it was written. It's a pilot, Jason Nix, just because it's not approved fully by IFAB yet. MLS's announcement, there we go, after the U.S. Soccer announcement. Thanks, guys. Yes, it's a pilot, up to 2 subs per team during a match to replace players suffering from a concussion or suspected concussion, regardless of the number of substitutions already used. Concussion Task Force, comprised of sporting and medical leaders from MLS, NWSL, U.S. Soccer, USL, and NISA, have worked collaboratively to implement the initiative. It has been approved by IFAB and FIFA to participate in the trial. In 2021, MLS will continue to allow a maximum of 5 substitutions. So that is another bit that we weren't sure on. That is now announced. 5 subs, maximum of 3 opportunities throughout the match. The halftime is a completely separate thing. You can do that, and it's not one of those 3 opportunities. Those are normal substitutions. Okay. Above and beyond the 5 normal substitutions and 3 opportunities, each team will be permitted to make up to an additional 2 concussion substitutions where there is a suspected/possible concussion. They're permitted regardless of how many normal substitutions or opportunities have already been used. They can be made immediately after a concussion occurs or is suspected. They can be made after an on-field assessment and or after an off-field assessment, or at any other time when a concussion occurs or is suspected, including when a player has previously been assessed and has returned to the field of play. When a concussion substitute is used, the opposing team then has the option to use an additional substitute and an additional substitution opportunity for any reason, which may or may not be used at the same time as the opposing team's concussion substitution. There we go. A team's additional substitute can only be used after the team has used all of its normal substitutes or normal substitution opportunities. At the additional substitution opportunity, only the additional substitute may enter the game. If the team has used all its normal substitution opportunities but has not used all 5 of its normal substitutes, The team is not permitted to use any remaining normal substitutes at the same time as the additional substitution opportunity. That's a lot of stuff that sounds complicated. It's not quite as tricky as it is. The fourth official might have to run some interference and make sure things are timed out properly. If the two teams make a normal or an additional substitution at the same stoppage, both teams will be charged an opportunity. If a team makes a normal or an additional substitution at the same stoppage where a concussion substitution is being made, that team will be charged an opportunity. Once a team has used all its normal substitution opportunities, it cannot use a concussion substitution opportunity to make a normal substitution. Okay. Process, and this is important. Match officials are not part of the team's decision-making process as to whether a player should be substituted or not, nor whether a player should be replaced by a normal substitute or concussion substitute. Medical professionals in the facility, team athletic trainers are included in this, team doctors, venue medical director, will continue to follow policies and protocols established by the MLS Concussion Committee for on-field and off-field assessment and management. MLS will also continue to utilize the medical spotter program, through which trained professionals monitor the match broadcast to identify potential head injuries and possible concussions. Medical spotters are able to quickly provide video to the venue medical director at the fourth officials table to assist in assessing head injuries and possible concussions. If a team decides to make a concussion substitute, the fourth official is informed by using a separate, it's pink, it's just the color they used, pink substitution pass. The fourth official will inform the referee and the VAR, AVAR, that the substitution being made is a concussion substitution. The opposing team is informed by the fourth official that it now has the option of using an additional substitute and an additional substitution opportunity and will be given a blue substitution pass. Okay, I like the color coding. It's a 20-month trial period that IFAB has set up to test the initiatives and competitions around the world through August 31st of 2022. And then they'll figure out what they're going to do after that. They'll figure out how they write the law and how it goes into the laws of the game. But it's a good step in the right direction. I want to see how the mechanics work. I really hope that people don't try to abuse this. I would think that they won't. It sounds like there are some protections to avoid that. I hope this works. It is the right step. Now you have to figure out the mechanics to do it correctly. And that's just what'll be next.
Yeah, no, the question I had you answered there at the end was the assessment and management aspect of it. It's like who determines from
But it's somewhat unclear. I mean, basically the referees won't mandate it. That's number one. That's important. And I'm okay with that. But then it's okay, the team decides if they're going to do it or not, which is okay. I mean, you have your team doctor, you have independent medical personnel, you have your checks that already happened, you have the spotter program. It's not the referees can't say he's concussed, he's got to come out.
Right. Yeah.
It's got to go a different way.
Yeah.
Now teams know that they have these additional substitutions they can make. Hopefully they won't force a player back on. Where it gets challenging is if it's Joseph Martinez, if it's Carlos Vela, if it's a top important player and you're in a situation where you want that player on the field, even with the additional substitutions. That still puts people in a tough spot. I don't know how you can fully avoid that. I don't know if you can. But this at least gives managers the peace of mind that, yes, I'm not going to run out of substitutions. I can't think of a game where I've seen more than 2 concussion situations for one team. I'm sure it's happened somewhere. I know it's not common. So I feel like this should at least take that element away of, well, I can't use a sub. I got to go. They got to play. I hope this takes that away.
And just make sure that you're handing over the right piece of paper in that situation. The right color.
I think the fourth official will probably make sure they're okay.
Are you sure about this?
No, I don't think they're going to get blocked from using it because of the wrong color. DC had a substitution where they put somebody in who wasn't even on the lineup card.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah, it didn't matter what color the pass was, so I think it will be okay. Okay. I think it's a good step. So, CONCACAF Champions League. ConcaChampions, questions, throw them into the Twitch pitch if you have them. If you are listening on the app, throw them in on Twitter. Do we have any questions about it? Alajuelense, Atlanta United, or any other CONCACAF situations yet, John?
DKB, since you answered his first question in hour number 1, his second question is CONCACAF Champions League doing 3 or 5 subs per match this year?
I have not seen an official announcement, but I want to say it was Giovanni Savarese mention 5 subs. I'm assuming they would do 5. CONCACAF did 5 in CONCACAF League, if I remember right.
Yeah.
You watched a lot of CONCACAF League, is that true?
Yeah, that is true.
Okay, then I would assume it'd be in here for this too. So I'd be surprised if they didn't. One of the managers has said they will, so I'm assuming they will. I have not seen an official competition rules and regs yet. Johannes says to his knowledge it's 5. Yeah, I think it was Savarese who referenced it. Savarese or Armas? No, I actually think it was Armas because he was talking about playing high pressure and he'd use all his subs, et cetera, et cetera.
No, but that is the only left question that was on the Twitter timeline since you answered the first one. So we had 2 questions and you answered them both.
You can say what the first one was since somebody asked it, and we can make sure that they have their full answer.
Oh, did Alajuelense rest anyone in their last match preparing for Atlanta United?
There we go.
Yeah.
ATL UTD Tom has a starting lineup prediction question. We'll get there in 1 second. I did see Burned had a question about won't Alajuelense go for it here in the first leg because they won't have Hernandez in the second leg. They will be a little short in that second leg because Marcel Hernandez, the 31-year-old Cuban forward who scored 24 goals in all competitions in 2020 and 2021, is not allowed to leave the country. He has a pending trial, a pending case that has been dismissed twice. It has been appealed. It will, I think, go to trial in June. He was accused of having sex with an underage girl, and he is not allowed to leave the country. So he can play in the first leg. He can't play in the second leg. I don't know if it changes too much, Burned, because they have 3 good forwards with Johan Venegas and Jurgens Montenegro as the other 2. So, I mean, those 3 guys have all played a good bit this season. Some, it kind of rotates, one off the bench, the other 2 start. I don't think they'll change the way they play so much. I don't think they're going to come on the road and play a very open, expansive game anyway. I think at home they'll try to make the game. They'll try to make it difficult. They'll put pressure on Atlanta in certain spots. I think especially early as they try to get a sense and feel the game out. They'll try to make it difficult for Atlanta to get settled. They're going to play pretty direct. I mean, they're going to go over the top. Playing 2 central midfielders, you're not going to be able to build up a lot of play centrally against 3 midfielders for Atlanta. That's not going to work very well. And if they try to get those 2 behind Atlanta's 2 attacking central midfielders and try to get 2-on-1 against, we think will be Santiago Sosa, well, Atlanta will take that risk a good bit because they'll expect to win the ball back and then have a front 5 against 4 because there won't be a holding midfielder. That's the thing that I want to see from Alajuelense. If they try to play 2 in a pair and split the field, if they try to put one in front of the other, if they have somebody hold more, if they do get more defensive in this game than we've generally seen from them, those are the things that are hard to call on the Alajuelense side. On the Atlanta United side, lineup prediction, Tom wanted it. This is my guess, and I don't know injury situations. I don't know fitness situations is the biggest thing because I don't think we have any major injuries at this point outside of Alec Can, who I don't think has returned to full training as of yet. He had surgery in the offseason. That's the only reason why. So not knowing fitness, just knowing that some players got here a little bit later than others. So I think Ronald Hernandez was one in that situation. Franco Ibarra was another one in that situation. So both of them not starting, I think makes sense. I will go with Brad Gazan in goal, Bello at left back, Robinson. You keep talking me into Campbell, everybody, because everybody's all gung-ho on George Campbell. He played more with Miles in what we did see of preseason. If it's the two of them, it's risky because Campbell is young. He is less experienced than Anton Walkes, but it could be Campbell there. It's either Campbell or Walkes. Lennon at right back. Sosa as the holding midfielder. Barco as one of the central midfielders. I'm going to go with Heinemann as the other one. Dom on the right side. Joseph up top. And I think it's Mulroney on the left. I do. I think Mulroney, we saw him a lot in preseason. It could be, if you want a real wild card, Machop Chol. That would be a huge wild card. I think it's Mulroney. I think that's the safer bet here. Mulroney gives you more defensively if needed than Chol does. Bring Chol on late in the game. Start Mulroney. You do have the 5 subs, so you can make changes with that. You could bring on Franco Ibarra to be more disruptive in the midfield if needed. Chol to go 1v1 with people. Lisandro Lopez to pick his spots. He could play on either flank if you need to. He could play up top as well if Joseph is not 90 minutes fit, and that's absolutely a possibility. Maybe you split 45 and 45 with the two of them. Maybe you're still managing Joseph's workload. We don't really know. And these are the reason we don't know is because you don't want Alawalense to know. You don't want them to have any idea if you can help it. And right now, you've been able to help it. I don't think you're going to get any real answers to that out of Gabriel Heinze today. He speaks to the media at 2 o'clock as part of CONCACAF's media availability. Brad Gazan will also speak to the media at that time. That's my prediction, is I do think Joseph gets the start. I don't know if he goes the full 90. I would probably say he doesn't. I think it's Mulroney in place of Moreno because he is suspended from his red card against Club America. And I think it's Heinemann as that other central midfielder, which is one of the big questions of who plays that role consistently. I don't know if we'll have a real answer to that until we get into the season a little bit. And I thought it would be Walkes, but just Campbell playing with Miles more in preseason, maybe that's going to be your pair here in this game. Sosa will stay very connected with them to make it really look like you're defending with 3 center backs a good bit. And that's going to put a little pressure on Heinemann and Barco to sit a little bit more, or one of them at least, sit a little bit more to protect that back line. Unless you just go in and say, let's play 3 center backs against 2 forwards, which is the safer route, which is something that Gabriel Heinze is very prone to do. He's done that throughout his history. If he doesn't feel like Sosa's ready to be a pseudo center back, he could just play a center back. Remember, his games last year with River Plate came at center back a good bit. So you could have him in the lineup, and it could look like a 4-3-3. It could look like a 3-4-3, depending on situations. And it could just be reading that and calling it out. It could be, all right, drop. We're having problems with you in front. We need you back with the back line. Split them and be the third center back, be the free man. Okay, you could do it that way too. So Sosa starts, and whether it looks like 3 or 4 in the back, I think it's going to be down to what the game kind of brings you.
Now, in looking at what I saw in Birmingham with George and Miles at the back, having George and Miles as your pair, it makes sense. I was leaning more toward having the experience of Anton at the back myself. And then having, you mentioned Jake and Machop in place of Marcelino Moreno. The notion of Jake Mulroney running for 60 minutes and then bringing on a matchup problem like Machop, I think that makes a lot of sense for the bookend in the second half. So, but no, I mean, I was pretty much in agreement with you with everything else, and Heinemann was the guy that I had in the midfield as well. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the experience aspect of it. So I had Mulroney and Walkes ahead of Campbell and Machop, but I could definitely see those other two making their minutes here in this first leg.
Tom said, since the field is expected to not be in good shape, will we sit Joseph Martinez? Who is saying the field will not be in good shape? I don't know where that's coming from. It is a hybrid surface at the Estadio Alejandro Morera Soto in Alajuela. It's not turf, but it's a hybrid. It's actually No, I think it was at one point turf, but then they went away from it. Yeah, 2009 it was turf. Now it's a hybrid. Okay, that had me confused for a second because I knew they had done turf a while back, but it's not now. I think Jürgen Damm said in an interview like it could be hard. I think that's what Doug said in his lineup prediction at the HAC this morning. I don't know if that's necessarily bad. That's just it could be a little bit of a hard surface. I don't know. Again, Tom, I don't really know where that's coming from. So I think these are things like we really got to be careful about. It's very easy to just throw something out there and then it starts to spread, and we don't even know where it really started. Like the lineup I just gave you, that's my prediction. That's what I think it could be. I'll go Campbell at center back. I'll go Mulroney at left wing. I'll go Hindman as the central midfielder, the three questions I have. That's what I think right now. Doesn't mean it's right. Doesn't mean I'm campaigning for it. Doesn't mean anything. It's a prediction right now of something none of us really know. I think at times maybe everybody in the game here is making some statements that are not necessarily backed up. So let's be careful there. I don't know where the thing about the field is coming from. Is the weather supposed to be a problem? Have you checked the weather, John?
I'm checking the weather, although I did see the elevation at 3,000 feet, and that's something else. 3,100 feet.
Not that bad. What's the problem with that?
No, it's are you going to have with the 5 subs? Obviously, if guys
but is that really a huge problem? That's half of Colorado.
Yeah, 60%. Mile high, 5280. Yeah.
Are we really getting down to that level of concern? What is the equivalent in the United States of 3,000?
I'll tell you in a second. Weather is supposed to be 75. Let's see, Tuesday, high of 87 and a low of 66 with cloudy or partly cloudy skies.
So nice.
Yes, nice weather.
Yeah, not really anything to be concerned about there. Give me the equivalent altitude in the United States of Alajuela, Costa Rica.
List of cities in the U.S. by elevation. So here we go. Using our friends from Wikipedia.
Okay.
So we're looking at 3,100. Is that what we're looking at here?
That's what you said.
3,123 was what we were looking at. Okay. So just a little less than Lubbock, Texas, Missoula, Montana, Rapid City, South Dakota.
Haven't played in any of those places.
So
give me somewhere that's in Major League Soccer.
It would have to be probably in the 2,000 feet range.
It can be in the ballpark. It doesn't have to be exact. I don't think a few feet either way is going to make that much of a difference.
Let's see. I can give you the USL Championship at 3,700 feet in El Paso, Texas.
Okay. I don't think Atlanta United 2's played there.
No. Let's see.
I'm going back to double check as well. I'm looking at highlights since the Alajuelense Herediano game was not broadcast in the United States. I'm looking at highlights. The pitch looks pristine in Alajuelense, so I don't think there's going to be any problems with that. It looks amazing, actually. It looks really good.
Okay, come on, help me out here. God, it's like I'm going to 2,000 feet, and then it's just kind of like, 3,000. That's the only one you get. You're not helping me.
Wow. I didn't mean to quiz you that much. Just trying to find an equivalent.
I am too, but the cursed infernal interwebs are not helping the man.
Okay, while you are checking, I will try to get caught up on a few other questions.
Yes, go.
Burned, they don't have to change their approach with the situation with Hernandez. They'll play Venegas and Montenegro up top in the other one. They've been consistent with a 4-4-2. They haven't really deviated from that too much, so I don't expect them to do it now, unless they get defensive for some reason. Burn says no chance of a 3-5-2 since Alajuelense has 2 up top. Gabriel Heinze's very rarely played 2 up top. If he changes to 3 center backs, I think he changes to 3-4-3. I do not expect him to play 2 up top because the spacing becomes very different. Could at times it look like 2 up top? Absolutely. Again, it's not going to look very rigid in terms of the shape. It's not going to look like line of 4, line of 3, line of 3. It's just not. So I don't expect 2 forwards because he's been generally pretty clear in liking 3 up front because of what it can do to fix the opponent's back line and create the half spaces for your attacking central midfielders. Going 2 up top changes that. Also, going 2 holding midfielders and 1 10 changes that. Now, will you do that sometimes? Yeah. If there's something about the opponent that you're worried about, yeah. Could do it here. Just going from history, it hasn't been something that you have seen very often. So I would make it less likely that that's the solution. We didn't see any of that in the preseason games. Doesn't mean that is a yay or a nay. Just, again, going on what we know and what we've seen and studying Gabriel Heinze, that does not seem like the likely solution because it hasn't been one he's gone to very often. Let's see here. No word on Josetu. Yes, Abby, I'm excited to see a game that means something for sure. Burned wants Eric Lopez on the left. The only reason I don't think of Lopez as a winger is that Heinze said he's specifically been working centrally. He could be that player instead of Heinemann, actually. He said that in the media availability on the Saturday afternoon that Lopez has been working centrally, not working as a wide player. Doesn't mean you can't do it, but that's what was said. So, again, that's kind of where I'm basing this from. Much open in some time. Yeah, I'm with you, Ryan. I think that would be exciting to see. I think running at a tired team would be good. Have you figured out anything about altitude, John?
San Jose is the highest one that I've seen at 2,100 feet.
Okay. Do we just not have anything in this range? Does it go from like 2,100 to like 5,000?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well,
and especially
crazy
for markets that would have something akin to an MLS franchise. The top 50 by elevation are like really small and they're close to sea level and things like that. So the closest one to anything 3,000 is 2/3 of the way there at San Jose.
Boone, North Carolina, according to Thomas Chuen.
Okay. So Squatchy and Atlanta United would be at 3,100 feet.
Yes. Ryan, sitting at 6,500 feet in Guatemala, died for the first month there. Glad you're back with us, Ryan. That's good.
Yes. Glad you were resuscitated.
Yeah, half of that. There you go. It's okay. Ricky Ricardo says, do we have any idea if Lennon or Hernandez is starting? Just curious. I don't know why there's a question. I really don't. Brooks Lennon was your best player last season. And Ronald Hernandez has played in 6 games in the last calendar year. So, I mean, it's hard to displace Lennon, in my opinion, for what he did last year. And I think what we've seen in preseason, especially in the training exercise with Charleston, I thought Brooks Lennon looked great. So, and add another element to it, Ronald Hernandez joined the team a little bit later. So I think it's Lennon. I would be surprised if it's not. But that's been a recurring conversation in the Atlanta United Twitter sphere is, Hernandez starting over Lennon. And there's not really a justification, and I don't know where it's coming from. I'll take Lennon in that for now just because Hernandez needs time. He hasn't played a whole lot lately. Let's see. Ryan says, in round 1, is Alajuela the most likely upset? If not, who is our other upset pick? Yeah, I think they are because Atlanta's coming off a bad year. They've got a lot of unknowns, and Alajuelense hasn't lost in 25 games. I think they have to be the most likely upset pick. Next, for me, would probably, and I mean, it depends on how it's ranked. What is Leon and Toronto? Who's the favorite to advance? Because I'd say that's the next upset pick because it's pretty narrow between the two.
Yep, Leon currently listed at a -145, and Toronto just north of +340.
No. To advance, not just in a game in Mexico. Of course, Leon's going to be favored. To advance. Do you have that?
Not in front of me. I'll look that one up.
Okay, because that one game doesn't tell us anything. If Toronto is a +300 to advance, if that was the case, I would be all over that number because I think they can advance. Leon hasn't been great up until very recently. My guess would be whoever is the underdog in that one. I'm going to leave that out because that's too easy. That's a toss-up, in my opinion. Normally, it would be Olimpia Club America, but they've been so good, Las Aguilas. I don't see that happening. I guess it'd be Philadelphia Saprissa, even with Saprissa being bleh, just because Philadelphia comes in with injuries and issues that you could see it, and they don't have a lot of experience in these situations. This is their first international competition. You have players who have played in international competition, but as a club, it is game one in that. Things can get weird. So I'll have that as the number 2, even though I don't see that happening, because I'm going to leave Toronto Leon off to the side. I don't think it's really an upset for either one of those to win.
Yeah, still chasing after the longer props right now. It's spreads and money lines for the opening matchups are the only thing that I'm seeing.
Thomas Join believes that Atlanta is the 3rd highest MLS city in altitude, by the way. So I think we can stop worrying about altitude.
No, I've moved on to CONCACAF Champions League clinching ties in the first round. I moved the U.S. Geological Survey to the back burner.
I would disagree that Atlanta losing to Alajuelense is an upset given form. Form and level are two different things. It would be an upset if Alajuelense won, in my opinion. It would be. Maybe I'm not giving the Costa Rican League enough credit, but I think when you look at the levels, you look at the rosters, Atlanta should win. Now, you do factor in they're new, you factor in they haven't played together. There's a lot of things to factor in. You do factor in form, but I don't think it would be, or I do think it would be an upset if Alajuelense won. They shouldn't. Atlanta should win. Atlanta should find a way to win here. There shouldn't be an out if they don't. This should be something that they're able to find a way to get through. Let's see what else we have here on the Twitch pitch before we go back to Twitter, before we move on. Ricky, yeah, I'm on Lennon. I would be surprised if it's not. Totally with you, Ryan. Leon and Toronto is a push. I wouldn't call either one an upset. Saprissa, I don't expect to get through, but yeah, I guess they have to be next. Olimpia is a team that with a better draw would be that for me, but I just don't see them getting by Club America. I just don't see it happening. Forget it with Real Esteli, with Arqui, with Pantoja. Like, they're so far back from the teams they're playing that I just don't see it happening. So, and Marathon, Portland, Marathon has not been good. You know, if like Olimpia was in that one, yes, I would go Olimpia as an upset pick there. But Marathon is not Olimpia. Portland should be able to get through for sure.
All I'm getting is stuff for this go around. I still have a lot of props, but nothing on the actual ties.
It's okay. It's all right. It's okay. It's all right. Thomas Jewin thinks you probably need better altitude information anyway.
Well, it was the U.S. Geological Survey, so anything's possible from a government agency.
I do not know. Okay. CONCACAF Champions League, the games are going to be on 2-day NA. Not all the games are on FS1, if I am not mistaken. I think a good number of them are. I know Atlanta United is. I want to check the 6 o'clock games. Okay, here we go. It just takes a second to load on the new MLS website. It does not show on the main page the TV situation in the game. You have to click on the game. And it doesn't tell you there either, actually. So that's not good. I do like the new website layout, but that is not good, guys. That should change. Not a fan of that. We'll go to Live Soccer TV. They are usually very good, just so we know what the TV picture is. These games are on big channels, so they should have it by now, what the listings look like. Tomorrow, 6 o'clock, Marathon and Portland is FS1. Atlanta Alajuelense is FS1. Arqui Cruz Azul is also FS1. That's good to see. Wednesday, games in CONCACAF, 6 o'clock, FS1 for Saprissa and Philadelphia. Leon Toronto, FS1. Olympia America FS1. Good on you, Fox. I am very impressed. I was worried some would get thrown to FS2. 8 o'clock, Real Esteli Columbus, FS1. Pantoja Monterrey, FS1. Across the board. Good job, FS1. Very happy for FS1.
And across the board, they're also on 2-A for those who feel so inclined.
Yeah, we knew that part. That they always do that. FS1, like putting this on FS1 and not on FS2 or not somewhere else. This is very good. Good job, FS1. I'm very proud of you.
So it is those two channels, and that is very cool. So I don't have to use my remote and go dancing back and forth.
There are no goalkeeper stats on the new website box scores, Johannes. I am not happy about this. SofaScore it will be when it comes to stats. Who scored in SofaScore, and sometimes Opta are usually where I go here. Okay. What other questions do we have about ConcaChampions? Are we excited about this? Are we scared about this if you're an Atlanta United fan or a Philadelphia fan? Because we have Philadelphia fans in the mix as well. If you're a Portland fan watching, are you afraid of Marathon? Does this tournament matter to you? Is it something that does it feel like preseason to you? Does it feel like a competitive situation? Are you like living and dying with the results this week? Are you looking at it in context? Like, what does this mean? That's what I want to know for you guys out there. What it means to me is I love the competition. I think it's one of the biggest things you do every year. That's what it means to me. I've watched this thing. I mean, you weren't really able to watch much of it way back in the day, in the early days of MLS. I do remember watching the A-League Seattle Sounders get absolutely trounced in the 1996 CONCACAF Champions League or CONCACAF Champions Cup, which was actually played in 1997 because CONCACAF wasn't really all that organized. And Seattle qualified because they won the 1995 A-League. So you were 2 years on, and MLS had started, and you had lost players, and you got spanked in it. DC won in 98. I do remember watching the Inter-American Cup with Vasco da Gama, which was pretty cool. LA Galaxy won it in 2000. I don't remember being able to watch any of that. I think where I got really back into it was two series. It was Houston and Punta Arenas from Costa Rica, and it was the Houston Pachuca series. They played in CONCACAF, I think, twice, and then they played in the Superliga as well. So you had a little bit of a rivalry between Houston and Pachuca because they just kept getting matched up with one another, and they were really good games. That was Houston at their best with Dwayne De Rosario, Brian Ching, Ricardo Clark, Stuart Holden. Those were really good teams. Pat Onstad in goal against really good Pachuca teams. So that was where it felt like it kind of kicked up a notch. Puerto Rico Islanders and their run. Real Salt Lake getting to the final, falling short. Toronto's run in 18. I mean, the tournament is a special tournament. It does need somebody else to win it other than a Mexican club. And that's not going to be easy. The calendar makes it difficult for MLS teams. It absolutely does. It'll still be difficult even with the group stage because the group stage will be in the fall, but the knockouts will be early in the next year like they are now. MLS needs to solve that. They need to figure out the best way to structure to do this. They really do. This tournament has to become a bigger priority. It just does. You saw what it meant. For people who thought, like, oh, the Club World Cup, not a big deal. You saw what it meant for Tigres to get to the final. And first, them getting to the final was a huge accomplishment. But you saw what it meant to Mexico, to Liga MX, to get there. You need an MLS team to get to the Club World Cup. You get there by winning the CONCACAF Champions League. It has to be a bigger priority. It has to be a bigger deal. We all have to take it as a bigger deal across the board. So important. That's my opinion.
And I'm with you. I think that it needs to be taken as a bigger deal. I'm looking forward to have live soccer, here that's based from teams in the United States, first and foremost. I'm looking forward to seeing that. The fact that it's in CONCACAF Champions League over the last handful of years, obviously my viewing habits with the CONCACAF Champions League don't go back as far as yours do, but just the idea that Atlanta United is involved, and they've been involved consistently, and now it's their third tour through. And I think that, we've talked about it ever since the bracket came out, that there's a chance for a run here for Atlanta United. You got to take care of business, obviously, in this, first go round, in this first round of action here with Alawalense, but there's a chance for a run here. And I think that, it needs to be looked at by fans and those who are supporters of teams. It needs to be viewed very seriously because of what it can mean, not just for your club, but for Major League Soccer in the grand scheme of things. Because, when you can turn on your television and you see a Liga MX side competing in the Club World Cup, and that Major League Soccer clubs are that close that they go through that window that Liga MX sides have to continually appear in Club World Cup, that if you follow that path and win, then you can be seen on the world stage. And that's what Atlanta United has wanted to do from the absolute beginning. They want to be a club seen on the world stage, not just through transactions and such, but through their style of play and through what they're able to do on the pitch. So for me, I'm looking forward to another year in CONCACAF Champions League. I want to see what the team looks like under Gabriel Heinze. I want to see him do well. I want to see him progress as far as humanly possible. I want to see, I'm selfish, I want to see him win the whole thing. We'll see what happens.
I mean, no, what's wrong with that? It's not like it's not like you're out on a limb there, John. You want to see somebody. You want to see Atlanta win it.
I know, but it's just I think that it needs to be taken. It just, folks need to take CONCACAF Champions League seriously because of what it can mean, not just for your club, but for your league and for, North America, instead of, obviously, yes, Liga MX teams have always made their trek, but for the value of what it could mean for an MLS side to win CONCACAF Champions League and represent Major League Soccer on the world stage.
I wish going forward, instead of structuring it the way that they're going to, I wish they started and did it like CONMEBOL in terms of the calendar. It would be better for MLS teams. The challenge is the MLS playoffs, and also you have a lot of playoffs in CONCACAF. It's not just MLS with playoffs. Mexico has playoffs. Honduras and Costa Rica have playoffs. I think almost everybody has playoffs of some form or fashion. So you've got to end it before you get to that point. So you've got to shift the end part. But you should be starting your season with preliminary or group games that have a little bit more margin for error, not this. And I think that's a big reason why it has a weird feel. For some. I mean, there's a lot of people, that are happy to have MLS back, happy to have Atlanta back. See, I'm different with it just because this tournament means so much to me. It's like I want to be in midseason mode with how I feel about this game, but we haven't had anything to really ramp up to it, so it's a weird feel. You need to look at even the European, not calendar, but the way the season runs, where if you're an Ajax, for example, you've had to go through qualification rounds to get into the Champions League right as your season is starting. The idea that you have games that in international competition before your season, that's such an MLS thing. Well, no, there's plenty of leagues that do that in Europe too, actually. A lot of the smaller ones, you have to qualify. They have to go through that before they even start their season. Okay. Here, I think what you do is, if you're going to do this group stage that is pretty forgiving from the structure that they have laid out, you start that when you start CONCACAF Champions League normally. You have that in the first half of the year. You have the knockouts early in the second half of the year. You have the final, if MLS sticks with a MLS Cup in November timeframe. And that's usually, if I'm not mistaken, John, that's when the Liguilla generally gets started in Mexico, is in that November timeframe.
Yeah.
So you need to have your final for CONCACAF in early October. So you need to have your knockouts quickly after your summer break and conclude with an early, maybe first Wednesday, if you're going to do single game, 2 legs, however you sort it out, first Wednesday or whatever in October final. I think that would have a different feel for it. Then we'd ramp up to it a little bit more rather than this like, man, it's just being thrown at us all of a sudden.
It's like, boom.
And Atlanta's in a tough spot. I mean, if you're Columbus, yeah, you can ease in. You're playing Real Esteli. You can kind of ease into it and have a different feel here. You can't if you're Atlanta. You're into a competitive game that, yeah, should scare you. Atlanta's the favorite. They should be the favorite. They should win. But, yeah, it's tricky. You're playing a team that hasn't lost in 25.
Yeah.
You know, you're playing a very good opponent. An opponent that you are better than on paper, but the game's not played on paper, and you haven't played a game. So it's tough. But it's more than just happy to see the team. There's pressure on it, and there should be. Yeah, you got in through a fluke. Yeah, you got in because there wasn't an Open Cup last year. Yeah, you got the ticket. You're in the dance. You should be trying to win the thing. So there's pressure on it because of that. This has more of a feel of an important game to me than just happy to be there game.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, because you know, it's one of the it is a grinder of a matchup coming out of the blocks, and it's your first one, and you're parachuting into your competitive play here in 2021. Oh, by the way, it's in CONCACAF Champions League against a very tough opponent. So, you know, there's a lot of stuff to look at here from competitive standpoint, but you've got a tough matchup that you have to negotiate that's outside of league play, and it's in hemispheric play.
Can I put a motion to the floor?
Sure.
Can you eliminate grinder as a descriptor of a tough game?
Sure.
Please.
Okay. So then, all right, then let's do this. Let's do this.
I'm not going to tell you why. I'm just going to leave it open-ended.
All right. So if I do use that word, if I do use that word, dollar in the jar.
Dollar in the jar?
Yeah, dollar in the jar. If I use that word, and at the end of the calendar year, I will make a donation with the dollar jar to Soccer in the Streets every time I use that word.
No, I just really don't want you to use it. So I don't even want that to happen. Let's not do that, because if that continues to happen, I think it's going to be more like this. Yeah, none of that. So let's just eliminate that one, por favor.
All right.
Okay. a maelstrom, come up with what's one of your, since you're EPL guy, what's one of your terms that they use for a really difficult matchup?
Oh man,
a really tough opponent.
I don't know if they would use maelstrom though. Maelstrom seems to have more chaos attached.
Have you seen CONCACAF Champions League, John?
Well, yeah, I have occasionally, yes.
Chaos. That
True,
is,
but
CONCACAF's middle name.
Yes, but I mean, I'm talking about I was thinking EPL and Maelstrom. You don't associate those two.
Okay, well then, what is the difficult place to go play, or the difficult game? What do they call it?
God, dog.
They don't say anything about their dog.
No, I see. Now you're having me think about it, and I'm trying to think of which very British word they always try to come up with for something like that.
I need you to come up with a better one.
Oh, Thomas Jewin is correct. It's a cauldron. Yes,
a cauldron. There we go. That's it. Please use that.
It's a cauldron.
That would be excellent. I like that. Or maelstrom.
Cauldron of hate and despair.
There you go. That's good stuff. Yes, Martha, I want another shot at Club America inside Estadio Azteca.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Healthy as well. Byrne does not enjoy CONCACAF Champions League very much. Come on, Byrne.
Oh, come on, Byrne.
I know you can get worked up about MLS flaws and parity and all these things, but Byrne, these games are crazy and fun and scary and a cauldron of despair, as John called it. Come on.
Cauldron of despair, hashtag.
Or chaos, or a maelstrom of monstrosity. I don't know.
Cauldron of despair.
Yes. That's fun in a sick, twisted way. I know the parody thing. I understand, but there are clubs in MLS that should be more competitive in this competition and should have won it by now. They have to deal with the pressure. I don't care about the parody situation anymore. There's still teams that can be competitive and spend with top Mexican teams. So there's no more excuses with that for me. They got to get it done. But enjoy it because, I mean, yeah, like I'm going to suffer through the game tomorrow from an Atlanta perspective, but I'm going to enjoy watching Portland and Marathon. I'm going to enjoy watching Olympia and Club America. I'm going to enjoy Leon and Toronto. I'm going to enjoy the other games for the craziness, but I'm going to suffer through the game that I'm emotionally attached to. Mm-hmm. Coco, I disagree. Motagua was the weaker first-round opponent that Atlanta had. Herediano was the more difficult one than Motagua because I think the Costa Rican League is better than the Honduran League. And Herediano had talent. They had hit a bad patch of form because they changed their manager from their great run at the end of 2018. And they brought on Erdan Medford, who wasn't it at all. Japhet Soto had been the guy. He went upstairs. They brought in Medford. His Burger King hat on the touchline did not really spell a whole lot of confidence. So, no, he wasn't the guy. He was not it. So, Herediano was a better team than Motagua, but we caught them in a little bit of bad form. Motagua was just a lesser opponent to me. A lot of it's the league. Let's see. Has Atlanta won outside CCL like away leg? Well, they've only played 4 away legs in CONCACAF. They lost 2 in Mexico. They lost 1 in Costa Rica. They drew 1 in Honduras. In playoffs, the only away legs that they had, they won at Yankee Stadium, and they lost in the second leg at Red Bull Arena, but it was already sealed. So that's what's out there. Yes, Domer, now you understand what I'm dealing with. Thank you. Let's see here. Phrases of John for the next Soccer Down Here shirt. Yes, that's a good one, as long as we have like one of the ridiculous frozen faces on the front. That would work. A jam, the Conca Dome, Thunder Calf, Conca Fever, all these things. A cold, wet, rainy night in Stoke, all one word. We would have the hot, humid, misty night in Alajuela is what it will look like in this, possibly, maybe. It is a factory of sadness, Will. You are 100% correct.
Factory of sadness. There you go.
I think that was Cleveland, actually, but we'll take it for this. Sam Williamson, really hope we don't get slapped tomorrow. I don't understand that mentality, guys. Look, Alajuelense is a good team. They can win this game. But the idea that you would be afraid that you would get beat bad in this, I don't get it. I'm sorry, I don't get it. It shouldn't happen. If it happened, something went wrong. Like, that shouldn't be a fear and an expectation going in. It just shouldn't. If that happens, something really went wrong. And then it's going to have to be corrected. Because, yeah, the game matters. It matters. I just don't see that. I don't see that. Could they lose tomorrow? Absolutely. If it's 2-1, that's fine. If it's a draw, that's fine. If they win, even better. But if they lose narrowly, especially if they get an away goal, it's fine. Even 3-1, it's fine. They should take care of the second leg. You don't want to be there. You want to make it as easy as possible. Like Savarese said, having the second leg at home is nice. It feels good. It doesn't mean anything if you blow it up in the first leg. You don't want to be in that situation. You don't want to go into the second leg like Pumas did against Cruz Azul in the semifinals in Mexico at the end of last year, where they were down 4-0. You don't want to be that team, even against the Cruz Azul. Now, they dealt with it. You don't want to have to do that. Sam Williamson, no, I am not accepting this. No, no, no. Sam, I don't know your voice, but I'm going to do something. Don't take it personally. This is what that sounds like to me, because I see it with Falcons fans. I see it with Hawks fans. I see it with Braves fans. We're Atlanta sports fans. We're born with it. We're molded by it. No, stop. No. Atlanta United's not. They won a title in their second year. They won 2 more trophies the next year in what was a failure of a season, according to some people.
Yep.
No. what the Falcons did blowing a fourth quarter lead over and over and over again in a crappy year has nothing to do with Atlanta United. Don't be that person, Sam.
That's a them, not a that's a them, not
this
not you.
Team should have given you a better feeling about it. They can't make you feel better about the Hawks. They can't make you feel better about the Braves. They can't make you feel better about the Falcons. They can make you feel better about themselves, which is what they can control. And they have generally done the right thing in these situations. So don't be afraid. If you're afraid, get a dog. The curse is not back.
That goes on the T-shirt too.
If the curse is not back, Sam, no. That is not acceptable around here. No. It's ridiculous. Gah! I hate that narrative so much because Matt Ryan has nothing to do with Atlanta United's midfield.
No.
Stay
away from my midfield, sir.
The Braves' lack of pitching in clutch situations has nothing to do with the back line for
Stay
Atlanta
away from
United.
my back line, Snitker.
Okay. Johanna says away goal would be huge. Anytime Atlanta United scores an away goal in a two-leg tie, Atlanta advances. Very good. They've done that in the two CONCACAF series they advanced in. They did that at Yankee Stadium. They didn't have to do it at Red Bull Arena. They'd already kind of taken care of that one in the first leg. But, yeah, that's true. Whenever they've had an away goal, they have advanced. Accurate. Good stat there, Johannes. I like that. That's going in the match notes, isn't it?
Well, yeah. I think that was a match notes teaser.
Yeah. Daryl Dike has scored again.
27th minute, Barnsley leads Luton Town 1-0 at the break.
It's so funny how the excitement picks up in your voice whenever we talk about something from England. It's like you just get giddy.
The Anglo snob.
What a plonker.
Thank you. In the championship, they've got a boatload of games going on. And Swansea and Preston North End, they're goalless at the break as well. So there you go.
Okay. What's up with your Swansea team? They keep hurting Americans. We know that much.
Yeah, no kidding. They lost to Birmingham City 1-0. So, that was not one that they should have lost last time out. Right now, they are tied for third, which would put them in that top. This is the championship play-in slot. The first two go in for automatic promotion right now. That looks like it's Norwich and Watford. Brentford and Swansea are at 69 points. Brentford has it currently on goal difference. And so this is match week 39 of 46. So 7 after today.
Are they going to get promoted?
I think if they can get that third slot, I think that they can, because then everything goes through the Liberty. So that's the biggest thing for me. I mean, it's Brentford, Swansea, Barnsley, and Reading. Bournemouth seems to have woken up. They're breathing down everybody's neck finally after a dip in form, which caused them to change managers. And Bournemouth is leading Blackburn at the start of the second half. So if they get the win this morning, then they're back in the promotion playoff discussion.
Okay. We will see where that goes. Are you still going to be mad at Mindy Kaling?
Am I still going to be if we don't get promoted?
You were mad at her when things were going well. So I mean, I think it's just a general anger.
Then I guess I should stay
Mindy
consistent,
Kaling.
shouldn't I?
I mean, I still don't understand why. I don't know why she's got to solve all the problems.
Well, I'd like for Jason Levy and the rest of the guys who own more to solve the problems, but like I said, that we just injure American players and shortchange American managers. So I guess we deserve our fate.
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much. That's accurate. We'll take some final questions if you have them. The Daryl Dike goal has gotten a lot of folks excited on the U.S. Soccer Twitter sphere. Some other things to keep in mind today. Barcelona has a huge match at home against Valladolid. Why is it a huge match? Because
why is it a huge match?
Atleti keeps throwing things away. They threw away at least a draw yesterday. Sevilla wins. And the table, Atleti has a 3-point lead on Real Madrid and a 4-point lead on Barcelona. Barca's won their last 5 in a row. A win here would cut that lead to 1. Put some respect on Ronald Koeman's name at this point.
For real.
He deserves it. Other things in the world to keep an eye on. Erling Haaland, it continues to spin and spin and spin and spin and spin. Now there's talk about commissions and Mino Raiola saying, yep, I'm going to get paid. And even his father, Papa Haaland, saying, I'm going to get paid. Mino Raiola on Twitter, fake news, travel quick and far, rocket emoji. Fabrizio Romano says, regarding commission asked for Haaland deal in the meetings with top clubs last week, there was no mention of commissions or official bids. Just talks about club projects. It is just the beginning of the race. Commissions will be discussed later on. So somewhere that started. Other people are saying it's not true. Mino Raiola talks, and I don't really take it too seriously. Rocket emojis. Yeah, he'll get paid off of it. I think the numbers are a little absurd if he's going to get, a 20 million euro check like all at once to get a deal done, and Papa's going to get one too. That doesn't seem to make much sense. The idea that Haaland could get 30 million euro per year, yeah, he probably should. I don't have a problem with that part of it. The commission part sounds a little strange. Borussia Dortmund is saying that they ain't selling. Their CEO, Watzke, said that Dortmund haven't given any thought to selling Erling Haaland. They do admit that Jadon Sancho could end up leaving if they receive a suitable bid when the market reopens, but they have not given any thought to selling Erling Haaland. Yeah, right.
Right.
Come on, Hans-Joachim Watzke.
Stop it.
Come on, man. Neymar, you have two different things that are exactly opposite of one another. You have Telefoot in France saying that Neymar has made a pre-contract agreement until 2026 with PSG. The French club are now focused on securing a similar deal with Kylian Mbappe. You have Mundo Deportivo in Spain saying that from the sporting area of Barcelona, it is believed that Neymar continues to offer himself to Barcelona. They are clear that the best time for him to return would be in 2022 when he could come on a free. So you got pre-contract on a new deal, and you got he's going to play his contract out and walk to Barcelona. Okay. Ousmane Dembele is reportedly being intrigued by possibilities with Manchester United, with Juventus, with Liverpool, with PSG, according to Mundo Deportivo. I think they sell him because I think they could use the money on him, and he would be one that could bring in some money. I don't know where yet, though. I think he's going to be one that has to wait for bigger moves to happen in front of him. Lucas Vazquez, 29 years old, Spanish winger. His deal with Real Madrid ends at the end of the season. Reportedly will be offered contracts by Manchester United, Chelsea, Milan, and Bayern Munich. That is according to ABC in Spanish. That's a pretty good guy you can get on a free. Intrigued to see where he ends up. We mentioned it. Leipzig choked against Bayern. Bayern kind of coasted in that, to be perfectly honest. It was Leipzig's time to step up. They couldn't step up. 7 points separate them from Bayern. Game over. Bundesliga done. Go ahead and engrave the trophy. It's all good. It's going to Bayern again. Borussia Dortmund, they looked pretty bad. They also choked against Eintracht Frankfurt. They gave up a late goal. Marco Rose comes in next year. How many people are going to leave Borussia Dortmund is the question. They haven't even thought about selling Erling Haaland, of course.
Right.
Of course. They haven't even thought about it.
No. Yeah.
They're going to be selling some people, maybe lots of people. Marco Rose is an interesting one. They did announce today that Youssoufa Moukoko, the 16-year-old wunderkind, is going to miss the rest of the season with a ligament injury. Also in Germany, on what was linked to be an incoming, Erik ten Hag is likely going to stay at Ajax and not go to Borussia Mönchengladbach. His contract ends in 2022. He's happy to stay for another year at Ajax, see that contract out. Not really keen on joining Gladbach. Who will go to Borussia Mönchengladbach? Is Jesse Marsch waiting on a call? I think so.
I think so too, yeah.
Juventus has brought Paulo Dybala, Weston McKennie, Arthur Melo back into the group. They missed the 2-2 draw against Torino. Andrea Pirlo brings them back. There are rumblings that Pirlo has to win on Wednesday against Napoli or he will be fired.
Fired!
There are rumblings that Juventus has talked to Max Allegri. Rumblings. The Italian media likes to rumble. Pressure's mounting on Pirlo. That was one that you couldn't really afford to drop. And, I mean, there are people, I think Claudio Ranieri's like, yeah, I wouldn't have left those guys out. I mean, Pirlo did the right thing leaving them out. What they did was 100% horribly wrong, but it might end up costing him. Lukaku got his 20th Serie A goal. Inter beat Bologna. Inter is 8 points clear with a game in hand. Lock it up. Go ahead and engrave the trophy. It's going to Inter. Juve will cry as that happens. That's where things stand at the moment with the big clubs in Europe. John, I'm going to let you do this. Sure. I'm trying not to look at the screen because it gives me nightmares.
Getting in my Tybo workout.
Why are you Billy Blanks? John, I'm going to ask you, what did you see in England since you filled the notes up with English notes? Tell us about England.
Okay. Well, have you ever not wanted to go to a workplace because something you thought was wrong with the workplace? I mean, like, you just go in your office building. Hey, the office building, there's too much air conditioning. The air conditioning it's always on. It's always too cold. My parking space isn't big enough. It's like the snack bar has the crappiest food. Those kinds of things. You ever been in that situation?
Did I have to go to the office? Like, if I did, I sucked it up and went?
Yeah, you still had to go to the office.
Okay, then yes, I showed up.
Okay. Apparently, Liverpool's players hate their new training ground. Kirkby, the training ground
Is this what they're going to blame for their bad form for a while?
Probably. It's a £50 million training ground at Kirkby. And so the players at Liverpool hate it because it's too windy. And they'd rather go back to their old Melwood site. They moved to Kirkby back in November after it was built. 70 years they were at Melwood, state-of-the-art complex, houses the academy, but apparently it's too windy.
It's too windy. It also was too small to have the women's team be included in it as well. Good job, Liverpool.
Yeah, so Jurgen Klopp's players miss their old stomping ground at Melwood. So it's too windy, and we don't like it. We want to go back to the other one. So,
oh, good grief.
Basically. Roman Abramovich, speaking of England, he's suing an author and her publisher for false or misleading statements, which he believes are damaging not only to his reputation, but to that of Chelsea. He's filed a defamation suit against Catherine. Yes. Catherine Belton wrote Putin's People, a book, and the publisher HarperCollins. So Roman Abramovich has publicly confirmed he will take legal proceedings over this book. The book includes claims from Sergei Pugachev that Abramovich bought Chelsea in 2003 on the personal orders of Vladimir Putin. And so Roman Abramovich is pretty hot about that. Apparently, after unproductive discussions with HarperCollins, Abramovich has decided to take the legal route. Today, my legal representatives have issued legal proceedings in England in relation to a book published in the UK. The book contains a number of false and defamatory statements about me, including my purchase and the activities of Chelsea Football Club. So,
evil shenanigans.
Pretty much. So Roman Abramovich wants to go to court to keep a book from being published. Also, the saga of Jean Biafra was wrapped up here in the States. Biafra played at Southampton and Portsmouth, handed an 11-year prison sentence after being found guilty of smuggling 2 tons of cocaine worth 21 million pounds into the U.S. from his native Colombia.
Can we please have a naughty option somewhere in the chain?
Apparently, dude was. Last November, he pleaded guilty to conspiracy to import 5 kilos or more of cocaine into the U.S., extradited in January to the United States. And prosecutors said that he conspired with members of the Gulf Cartel to send cocaine shipments from Colombia on speedboats to Mexico, which ultimately arrived in the States. He'd been under investigation for 3 years. And let me try to find his quote here. The ex-midfielder, whose alias is El Futbolista, spoke to reporters before boarding the plane before he was extradited. He said, "I used to share a changing room with Messi, but now I'm having to share a room with somebody who's been at war in our country."
Wait a minute. They said that was his alias, or you made that up?
No, that's his alias. That's what is claimed, that his alias is El Futbolista.
That's kind of a bad alias because that's just the soccer player.
Yes.
That's kind of making it clear. Yeah, it's that guy. Remember him?
That guy.
You watched him on TV. It's that guy. I hope that's not his alias. I hope this is somebody who does not understand what the word alias means.
Yeah. And last note, Joey Barton.
If it doesn't, he's a very bad criminal.
Yeah, that's the way it sounds. Joey Barton, who is the third manager that Bristol Rovers have had this season, he could be in a spot of legal trouble.
Why are we talking about Joey Barton? What did he do now?
He ran his mouth. Appointed Rovers manager in late February, who succeeded Paul Tisdale, who succeeded Ben Garner. And so now apparently legal action is being considered after Barton accused those 2 guys of negligence and labeled their training sessions a farce. And so they've only won 2 of 11 since Barton took over. But after a defeat recently, Barton pointed the finger at the other 2 guys, saying they've set these boys up for failure. We've got to try to reverse that trend. Whatever has gone before me has been negligent. If they were doctors, they should certainly be struck off for what's gone on here before. I could show you the footage of the training sessions. They're a farce. It wasn't done correctly. How do I know that? Look at the league table. Look at the fact 2 managers have been removed from the job. 2.5-hour sessions on a Friday. What chance have the lads got?
That's
it's like
stupid.
having a 15-round spar the night before you have a 12-round scrap. What chance have you got? You're going to get your head punched in.
That's really stupid. He's right.
It's because they don't know what it's like going into the ring, the Coliseum. They've read it in a book, and they've done it on a course, and they don't know. It's criminal. What? If they want to get on the phone and have a conversation with me, no problem at all. But Bristol Rovers have won 2 of 11 since Joey Barton took over.
What's the legal problem? So he said that the people who were there before were stupid.
Yes,
and
saying negligence, and they're
negligent. Running a 2.5-hour session on a Friday before a game on Saturday is absolutely negligent. So wait a minute. I mean, how am I defending Joey Barton here? Like, wait a minute. But what are you questioning? I don't understand.
No, I think it's probably what they're questioning is his phraseology about the word negligent and farce is probably what they're looking at.
Okay, that's really stupid. They should probably not highlight that they did really stupid things.
And right now, Bristol Rovers are tied in the 56th minute in their match today. And right now, in League One standings, they are next to last, although they are a part of that hashtag gaggle of 7 teams separated by 7 points. 6 teams, 7 points, 4 go down. Bristol Rovers have lost 5 in a row, and they are a part of that discussion in League One. So that's what I have seen this morning. One note from the Twitters. Jason Nix wanted to show some love for the Leicester women this morning after their 2-1 win Sunday against the London Lionesses, winning the FA Women's Championship, earning promotion to the WSL next year. Only lost 1 match all year and still in the FA Cup. Hashtag up the Foxes.
Yes, that is very good. They will get promoted into the Women's Super League. I have not looked at the relegation fight there. There's definitely a haves and have-nots when it comes to the Women's Super League, but it will settle out more and more. You've got more resources coming in. It's starting to get into a much better situation. Burned going a little bit deeper on the Leipzig-Bayern situation. Julian Nagelsmann called out Tyler Adams in involved in giving up the goal. Nagelsmann said, "We talked about the deep passes from midfield," referring to Kimmich's pass to Mueller. "For one time, we didn't accompany that run path. And then after that, Goretzka finished the play, different from our players." Yeah, accurate. He's still got to figure out something in the attack. It really feels like the attack goes missing in big games. That's a problem. That is a big, big problem, and something that Julian Nagelsmann's going to have to sort out. If he's going to get to the next level, and look, he's on that path, can he win a big game? Because this was his best opportunity, and he didn't. I don't think, and this is just more of my style, I don't think doing what he did here, calling out the player, saying they made a mistake, I don't think it's the right way to do this. I think that's the sign of a weak manager. And if I am a Real Madrid, if I am a Bayern, if I am any of these big teams that have Nagelsmann on a list somewhere, I'm remembering that.
Mm-hmm.
You had the opportunity here to attack a team that was missing a number of key players, and you didn't get enough out of it. You just didn't. You don't throw your players under the bus in that scenario. You don't. It is the worst look. Simeone didn't do that yesterday when it comes to Atleti. The top managers don't do that. We've seen Jose start to do it a lot more, and it shows weakness with him. Nagelsmann can't do that now. He doesn't have enough to fall back on. I really think that's a poor approach. I really think that's a problem. That's something they're going to have to figure out. That's something he's going to have to figure out, because you've got to be able to get big results at some point. I know there's a gap between Bayern and Leipzig. Leipzig is not at Bayern's level yet, but 2 shots on target in a must-win game is not going to cut it. Your players did not perform in the final third very well. You had 14 shots in total, 9 off target. Only 2 shots on target. It's just not good enough. Just not good enough. All right, we got a busy day the rest of the day on the SDH platform. We have, at 7 o'clock, Soccer Over There. John will go even deeper on English madness, because
we mentioned Joey Barton.
Bunch
of Rovers has the lead.
See, he was right. Joey Barton was actually right for once. Newcastle legend Joey Barton. Maybe you need Joey Barton back at Alex Bassine. Maybe he can fix everything by threatening people. I don't know. 7 o'clock, Soccer Over There. We will get into our new picks of the week. We have a new champion this week. It was a really good week for 3 of us who made juice boxes. One person.
Are not named me, yes.
Yeah, that's fine. I was going to leave that up for later. But yes, John was horrendous. The rest of us were on the positive side. 2 of us were very, very, very good.
That you were.
And 1 was outstanding, and we will get into that. We'll have our new picks. That will be a 2-hour show, a hard stop at 9 o'clock, because at 9 o'clock it will be the season debut of the run-up. Kelly Francis will be hosting. I will be chatting with Kelly about Atlanta and Alajuelense. If you have questions, send them to us at the run-up show, at Soccer Down Here, at the Kelly Francis, at Longshoe. Specific questions to Atlanta and Alajuelense, we will dig into those tonight. 9 o'clock after a 2-hour Soccer Over There from 7 to 9. Tomorrow we'll have our normal show. We will have programming around Atlanta and Alajuelense. We will also probably have watch-alongs later in the week as well for the other games in CONCACAF Champions League. It will be a busy, 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 busy week here in SDH land. I hope you can join us for as much of it as possible. We'll see you at 7 o'clock. Mucho platiel.
Mucho platiel.